audience. Welcome back to the video podcast. This is, if it's your first time, I'm Patricia, and to our regular followers, it's wonderful to have you back again. We were just here yesterday, so I hope you're joining us again today. The Executive Encore podcast and the YouTube playlist is a series tailored to inspire women to carve their unique paths as they embrace the gift of longevity. We're all living longer now, which is it's a good thing. Imagine finding yourself in your late 50s, single, unemployed, and battling a life-threatening illness like breast cancer. I can relate to that, to the battling of breast cancer. Would you crumble under the weight of despair, or would you summon an untapped well of courage, optimism, and entrepreneurial spirit to turn adversity into golden opportunity? Well, that is exactly what Renée did. Our guest today is the dynamic leader and president of CMO on the Go. This is what she did. So today we're going to listen to her inspiring story about learning how she transformed her trials into a fresh start and how she continues to inspire others to face those life challenges head on. Renée, we're thrilled to learn from your experiences today, so let's start.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Patricia.
Yeah, okay. So Renée, can you shed some light on what exactly a CMO does and walk us through your journey that led to the formation of CMO on the Go?
CMO stands for Chief Marketing Officer. So I basically what a CMO does is they manage the strategy for an organization. A lot of organizations might have some marketing people, but they might not have a greater strategy that allows them to have a cohesive team. So CMOs kind of pull all that stuff together. And I have a company where I offer fractional CMO services, and that is just a fancy way of saying part-time. So you can have the benefit of a part-time CMO and get a lot done because they're seasoned. They don't take a long time to do things like junior people do. So you get a lot more bang for your buck, and you don't have that complication of having to hold someone and pay a big salary to an executive.
Yeah, I've heard of other fractional C-suite positions, and yes, like you were saying, the people who have those positions are seasoned, so therefore they're bringing a lot more value even within a fractional of the time, perhaps, and effort to bring their expertise to help their clients. What prompted the idea for you?
Having cancer, when you have, especially breast cancer, is a very long journey, but any kind of a cancer diagnosis really can bring your life to a grinding halt. And so I had a lot of time on my hands, let's just say that. and then you're so involved in the treatments and so on, and then you get to the end and you go, oh my goodness, what now? And I had been thinking while I was going through my treatments that I would develop an app for happiness and to help people cultivate unconditional happiness, because through that journey, I also found that, having cancer doesn't have to dictate the way you feel about your life, and in a negative way. And so I thought I could teach people that. But the fail rate for an app is like 97%, and starting from zero with something I'm not really, familiar with, maybe that was just too much to do to get myself up and running to making money again. But I had already, done freelance marketing, communications, and public relations work for years. So it seemed like, maybe doing marketing is the better way to go. But I'm at an age where I'm not highly employable, let's face it. I just turned 60, so no one's banging down the doors of 60-year-olds to come and work for them, sadly. I thought, okay, somebody phoned me and said, would you consider doing a fractional CMO business, for some of our clients? I said, sure. And then I thought, CMO on the Go. and then I thought, well, I can only do so much, so I should actually have a team of fractional CMOs. And so now what I have, I've got 5 fractional CMOs that work with me. So I've got a whole team of brilliant marketing minds. And I just basically do the business development for them. So I look for the business and I allocate it out. And if there's something that I want to take for myself, I take it. But my priority is to feed the CMOs.
Mm-hmm.
And it works well, because just because you're a marketer doesn't mean you're a salesperson. And sometimes it's good when, when you're self-employed, especially anything that's along a consulting line. I used to have a saying where consultant is a euphemism for sometimes eats, because there's a lot of so there's a lot of stop and start, right? You work with a client and you're so busy, you don't have time to do any marketing. And then all of a sudden, okay, I've got no pipeline. and so I fill that in for them. They don't have to stop and start. I keep the pipeline full.
Yeah.
I can, if I've got each of my CMOs, because they're fractional, they can easily take on 3 clients each. So that works out very nicely. That gives everybody lots of money.
I think
and
that's
flow.
Great model.
I'll take care of the flow.
A great model for them, and it's a great model for you.
Yeah.
I understand that model. Yes, consultants actually sometimes, especially if you're a successful consultant,
it's either never eats or sometimes eats.
Marketing, right? And we all learn that you have to continue marketing because there could be some dry spells, right?
For sure.
I also want to go back to something that you said about being at 60 and nobody wants to hire us, right? Well, being at 60, and why would I want to work for someone else anyway?
Exactly.
That's the way I look at it, right?
That's true too. You know, like
so we've got to flip that a little bit, right? So they're missing out on a lot, but we don't want to get involved in being an employee anymore. So
no,
I wanted to ask you about what was the gap in the market? You mentioned a little bit about not all marketers are good at sales, so you found a gap.
Yes.
Actually, I think you probably went through a journey of finding the different gaps. What was the initial gap in the market that you were looking to fill as a fractional CMO?
There are smaller businesses that, they might have a couple of marketing people. They might have 2 or 3 people doing different things, but they don't have strategic direction.
Mm-hmm.
And without that, you have maybe your social media person doing one thing, your web developer and a lead gen person doing something else. And they're not all speaking the same language. And it's hard to make a company grow if you don't have everybody, singing the same song, dancing the same dance, and moving in the same direction. And, a small business owner, you got like a handful of employees, you might have 20 employees. I don't know. You got enough to do. You don't have time to market, to manage your marketing team. Maybe it's not your line of expertise. So it could be and they don't want to do marketing. They want people who know how to manage that for them, but they have big dreams and they need these things. And if you don't have a strong marketing strategy, it's really hard to make that all happen. Yeah. So I recognize the need to do that affordably. I also recognize that because of the pandemic and people, it changed the way we work. Mm-hmm. And a lot of companies don't want C-suite anymore, and they want people who will be sort of gig workers, doing their own thing. Mm-hmm. But again, just because you know how to market doesn't mean you know how to sell. And I have background in both, so I'm able to kind of help myself and help others at the same time. So it works out quite nicely.
That's good. That's good. So I want to go over to talking about staying positive when you had that health crisis. Okay. Renée, many women struggle with maintaining their emotional well-being, their overall well-being during a health crisis. I have to acknowledge that we've got a wonderful medical system that looks after cancer patients, right?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Very good system. We're in Ontario, Canada, and I'm sure in other provinces and even in North America, we have good care around cancer. However, how do we stay positive through our own battles with cancer? Because as much as I hate to use the word battle and journey, it truly is one of those, and you said it doesn't necessarily define us, but it does make us look at how to stay positive when we're in such a surrounded by such an important thing. Like for me, it was at the top of my career when I received diagnosis of cancer. So
Hmm.
what was it going to be for me next? So
Right.
a little long-winded way of asking you, how did you manage to stay positive through your journey with cancer?
It was an active decision that I would not allow myself to get sucked into the abyss of fear and worry and all of that. So when I first got the diagnosis of cancer, I think this was even before they did the biopsy, actually. So I had a lump on my breast, and uh, it was a particular type of lump. I can't think of the name right now, but the first thing I do, which is what anyone does, I Googled it. And it said that the prognosis for somebody with that type of a cancerous lump was very poor.
Mm.
And I thought, all right, Renee. Because we like our memories of cancer treatments, like, growing up watching my aunts. I had 3 aunts that all died of cancer, and watching them just wither away. And my one aunt went from, she was 51, I think, when she died. But on her 25th wedding anniversary, she looked like her mother-in-law's age. She looked like she was well in her 80s.
Mm.
It's sad, right? And this is what we kind of remember. And when we think about cancer, we think about this violent vomiting and the weakness and the drastic weight loss and these worst case scenarios. And it doesn't have to be that way for everybody. It really depends on the type of cancer you have and your treatment plan. And every person's case is a little bit different. And I looked at that thing on Google and I said, you know what, Renee, you're not a doctor. You don't know the special circumstances. Don't go down that road. Do not go down that road, because those thoughts don't serve you.
Mm-hmm.
So I shut it down. I just didn't want to look at it. I don't want to know. And I decided, there's a lot of good stuff in my life. Nobody's life is perfect, but in spite of it all, I'm actually a happy person.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to focus on things that make me feel good, and all of the things that are right in my life. And I'm just going to, do what the doctor tells me. I'll go for my tests. I'll take my treatments, and I will make the best of this no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. And I lost all my hair. I wore makeup. I didn't try to pretend that it wasn't happening to me. I didn't want to cover it up. I didn't want to wear a wig or a scarf. I was actually not many people know this, and I can't believe I'm saying this live, but from 1985 to 1997, I was a devout Muslim. And I wore the hijab and the jilbab, and I speak Arabic, and I left that religion in 1997, and I said, I will never put a scarf on my head ever again. so,
Oh, wow.
so bald or not, I'm walking around and I'm going to be proud and I'm going to rock it. And I put my makeup on and my big earrings and my lipstick, and I went out and I did whatever I needed to do. And I only put a hat on if I was cold.
Wow, that's an interesting story.
So, there's a lot of layers to Renee Cormier. I can tell you that.
I love that comment, because there's so many layers to all of us that sometimes we lose that little bit of layer, and an experience will come to us that helps us, or not helps us, but has us go back to one of those layers and
Yes.
see, okay, how is that going to affect the experience I'm having now? What can I pull? What wisdom, or what kind of, in your case, it was not an attitude, but it was, you stood for yourself. You said, I am not going to do this regardless.
Yes.
And you
Yes.
brought that.
Yeah.
So even standing for yourself on an issue like that gives you a lot of inner strength to.
You have, yes. Well, walking away from that was an act of courage.
Well, yeah.
Going into it was an act of courage.
Yeah.
In 1985. Like nobody was walking around dressed like that. Even Arabs didn't walk around dressed like that. Now they do more. But at that time, there was, most people weren't very religious, and I really embraced the religion, and I learned a lot about it. But it's these are all acts of courage. the courage to end your marriage, the courage to get out and go to work when you don't feel like it some days. Like a lot of things are going on around us at this point. Even my mother is 95 and, in a nursing home. And, we all have stuff. Life's BS never stops rolling, Like
No.
it's not like you
No.
reach the top of the mountain and you never have a problem again.
Mm-hmm.
You reach the top of the mountain and you realize it's cold and windy up here. I need a blanket, and that's way down there. So, there's always more. There's always something. There's no end. Like people think that happiness is, I'll get that job, I'll have X amount of dollars, and then it'll be perfect. Your life will never be perfect. Don't ever fool yourself into thinking everything is going to be perfect. But you know what? You can still be perfectly happy. So you can still be perfectly happy with things are in turmoil. You just find the gaps and you live in those little gaps. And when you have a health crisis, a life-changing thing like cancer or an MS diagnosis or whatever, you stick your head firmly up your rear end and you get on with life. You just go forward and you don't let anything throw you off. You just have to get back and go, because you can drag your whole family down and make everybody miserable, or you can uplift people. And you can do that whether you're sick or not.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, I was going to ask you how your journey has impacted your outlook on life.
There it is.
But I think you have more or less told that.
You just got the rant.
But I'd like you to sort of focus in, because you've had many defining moments, if you want to talk about defining moments, or moments when we have to build up our courage. Can you think of one in particular, one pivotal moment when you recognized what fulfillment would look like for you, and when you determined what you wanted in order to make every moment matter?
I don't know that there was an exact moment, to tell you the truth, but I think it was an accumulation of experiences.
Okay.
and a gradual realization that I have complete control over my destiny. There is absolutely nobody controlling the flow of money into my life, or the flow of good or kindness or love or anything but me. And it depends on, my ability to remain optimistic and to stay positive, and allows me to look for opportunities and see them when they pop up. If you're focused on what's not working and what's wrong in your life, you won't see it. So if you ever think about, looking in the refrigerator for the ketchup and you can't find the ketchup and you're going nuts looking for the ketchup, and then, somebody opens the fridge and it's right in front of you, right? We all have those experiences, because your brain filters out what you are expecting to see or not see.
Yeah.
Right. And when you tell your brain it's not there, your brain says, okay.
It's not there.
It's not there.
Yeah.
And so it's the same in business. If you're convinced that you're barking up the wrong tree and that nobody's going to want to buy your stuff and no one thinks you're any good, if that's the talk in your head, you're going to unwittingly do things to create that result for yourself every time.
Yeah.
And your brain will make sure that happens.
Yeah.
It all works together.
That's how we manifest those things, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm sure that there will be a lot of people watching YouTube, this video, or listening to the podcast that would be eager to get in touch with you. How is the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Well, my website's right there in front. So cmoonthego.net. You can contact me through LinkedIn. You can find Renée Cormier on LinkedIn. You can message me via my website or via LinkedIn. If you go to my website, you will see a pop-up will come up for a free marketing assessment for your business. And so you can just take this little survey and, see where the gaps are in your business, because nobody's got it all perfect. There's always going to be something that can be improved, and that will give you the opportunity to then know where you should focus your energy.
That's great. So is there anything else, Renée?
I think I've said it all.
I'd love to hear more. I'm sure that you and I will come up with another impactful message that we could probably provide our listeners. So I want to thank you, and I want to thank everyone who's listening to the podcast or watching the video. Join us on this intriguing journey with Renee. Keep in touch with her. All her contact information will be in the show notes, so you'll have easy access to it. You're such a vibrant audience that I want to keep bringing great guests to you to listen to. As Renee's story vividly illustrates, our courage and our optimism empower us to convert setbacks into opportunities. That's been Renee's message all through our chat today. And this is where your Executive Encore truly begins. So join us live or through replays as I lead enlightening conversations with inspiring women like Renee and other thought leaders. We'll unearth secrets to personal and professional fulfillment in the face of longer lifespans and dissect the joys of finding new purpose after 60. And Renee, you just turned 60, right?
I did, yeah.
So here's the channel that you watch.
I'm a couple of weeks after 60.
Happy birthday. And navigate the challenges that unexpected life events might bring to us. No matter where you are in your life and career, I invite you to participate in these discussions. If you're interested in being a guest, as Renee has been a guest today, please contact me at patriciamuir.com. Very easy to remember, but it'll be in the show notes. Or on LinkedIn. Visit my website at patriciamuir.com to read the Encore blog and subscribe to my newsletter. Renee's story will appear in my newsletter on January 21st, if you want to watch out for that one. So subscribe, because that's the only way you'll get expanded information on Renee's story. Let's connect, inspire, and courageously take those bold moves together. Stay tuned to the podcast and subscribe to the newsletter, because there's much more to come. Thank you and have a great day.